Okay, I want to get straight to the point with this one. Go keep it quite brief, and that is, excuse me. I don't usually make videos from this location, just done the washing up, so for convenience as much as anything. Yeah, hopefully the audio will be okay. I want to talk about knowledge, skills, expertise, and what we find interesting. And what got me thinking about this and why I thought this would be a good subject for a video is that there was a bit of ridicule in the press recently against the boxer Amir Khan. He's currently appearing on the reality TV show I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. Now, I don't watch reality TV, and so I can't go into details about the finer nuances of this. I've not much time for that sort of show, but that's beside the point. Amir Khan is one of the celebrities appearing there. Well, apparently he made an off-cuff remark, have we ever had a female prime minister? Khan's a British boxer. He asked, have we ever had a female prime minister? Now, I admit that, like a lot of people, I find this quite a remarkable thing to say. Very, well, ignorant, yeah. He quickly amended it and remembered, obviously, Margaret Thatcher and, of course, Theresa May. Um, but someone made a point on the comment thread, this was on the BBC, I believe, that got me thinking. And the point they made was that some people just have better knowledge in some areas than others. Now, you could argue that one doesn't need to be into politics to know who Margaret Thatcher is. She was one of the most famous women of the 20th century. And you'd have to be very detached to not know that Theresa May is the current Prime Minister. So I agree with that. So I don't think you need to follow politics to understand those basic things. But they made the point that were kind of mocking Khan and joking about it and mocking his intelligence. I saw a lot of comments that are typical boxer because there is a stereotype of boxers being a bit, well, not very bright, which is factually not true. There are quite a number of boxers that are actually, I mean, if you look at the Klitschko's, they have PhDs, and there's other examples of that. Now, someone who's into both politics and boxing, I had a somewhat neutral perspective. I admit that I was surprised that Khan didn't know that. But here's the thing, and this is the point that this person made. What right do people have to mock him? If someone doesn't know something, sometimes it can surprise other people if it is deemed to be common knowledge. But I don't think the right way to go about it is to mock the person. Rather, just kind of remind them or tell them. But I think, what we sometimes see bullying in society, in school and workplaces, and surely mocking someone's intelligence, no matter how extraordinary someone's ignorance on a particular subject seems, is probably not the best way to go about things. The only caveat I would make is that if someone is being ignorant against other people, i.e., if they're showing ignorance in the format of bigotry or they're showing ignorance when they're debating with someone, but when they make a comment or if they ask a question and it comes across as being a bit childlike or lacking what would deem to be common knowledge, maybe it isn't the best approach to just laugh at them. It would be better to just tell them. Now, Khan quickly amended his mistake. He realized himself that, it sounded a bit. But whatever, the point is, Amir Khan would know about more about boxing than a lot of people who know about politics. He would know the finer points of training and so on. So it got me thinking that there are areas where we all know something about and others don't. So I don't think that we should be smug about anything, about knowledge. I think as human beings, we are constantly learning. And what might seem extraordinary can, I mean, it can even be irritating. I mean, I know that certainly when it comes to geography, I would say a lot of people don't have a very good basic knowledge of geography. Now, I feel my knowledge in that is well above average. I could probably name every country in the world. If you show me a world map, I could probably point to every country. But that's not to be braggadocious. It's something I want to lead on to here. I know that because I'm interested in it. I've spent years looking at maps. I read maps. I'm interested in human geography, current affairs. That's why I know these things. It doesn't mean that I'm better than everyone else because you could show me another field, another subject I would know very little about. If someone showed me the periodic table, I probably wouldn't be able to name many elements there. So some of the sciences I'm not so good on. I know a lot about politics. I don't know so much about economics. I do want to inform myself because the two obviously go hand in hand. But the point I'm making is that we all have areas where we are informed about. And sometimes, a lot of people who meet me compliment me. They say, "Oh, Nathan seems like a really smart guy, and he's really a walking encyclopedia." And so this is their words. Now, I feel on one hand I'm grateful for the compliment, and I feel there are subject areas, perhaps geography, history, and some aspects of current affairs, I probably do know more about than some other people. But I don't think that makes me better, and I'm always cautious not to sound like I'm gloating about those things. I know that I know about them, but I have friends who will ask me about something because they know I am versed in that subject. Now, there are areas I don't know about, a lot of areas, and I'm very careful not to seem, so smug that I think I'm better than everyone else. I think we have to have the humility to realize that there are areas that we can always develop on. And I think there's this great stigma around human intelligence, especially in the context of arguments. There's this obsession with who wins an argument, and you see it all over the internet. Like person A owns person B, person A destroys person B, and it comes from both left and right. And I don't particularly like it because then it brings in basically trash talking, and I think that degrades adult debate. Um, and there are people for whom there is a particular pressure to appear to be knowledgeable on a subject. For example, if a politician turned around and said, "Well, actually, I don't know enough about that. I'll need to look further into it," people would say, "Oh, they're not doing their job properly. They don't know about this." But surely it would be better for them to be honest and say, "I need to look more into the subject before commenting," rather than coming out with a comment that might well be inaccurate. And I think there's this great stigma, especially on public figures, to know things. Um, we put a lot of emphasis on supposed intelligence. So if someone knows about something, or rather, if they don't know about something, they're really ridiculed. I admit there are sometimes statements that people make, and I think it's quite extraordinary that you haven't heard about this. But in light of this, and in light of the way I've been thinking about this recently, my thinking now is, well, yes, it would really surprise me if someone doesn't know, for example, the basic geography of the UK. And I do find it somewhat frustrating that many Britons cannot even name the four nations of this country: England, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Wales. To me, that's something that should be brought into basic primary education. But if people are genuinely curious, if they're asking questions rather than just being ignorant for the sake of being ignorant, I don't think people ever learn from being bullied. I don't think, coming from a teaching background, I would never say to a student, "You're an idiot. How can you not know that?" I would teach them, I would tell them, and I would try to encourage them to find out more. I feel that is the way to go about things. So, to sum this up, none of us should be so smug that we know everything. And incidentally, there are people held up to be great geniuses. Well, you can look at certain people who are very, very knowledgeable in certain areas. I mean, Stephen Hawking's, for example, will be an absolute, what's the word, an absolute blank, the word I was looking for, but, world top physicist, very smart guy. I think everyone would agree with that. But if you ask Stephen Hawking about the finer points of, I don't know, blues music or whatever, he may or may not know about that. So, whereas there may be an expert in that particular genre of music, I don't know, it's just an example. Um, so, even people who can appear very smart in one area may not necessarily be knowledgeable in another. Another example, Noam Chomsky, the academic and left wing thinker. He's a very smart guy. He's a good debater, but I've noticed he he isn't the most social of people. I've seen Noam Chomsky, for example, asked about, I suppose, from his perspective, trivial questions about his favorite music and hobbies and so on, and he came across as frankly a bit dull. Like he didn't really want to. He wasn't really bothered about that. Now people will say, "Oh, but he's bigger things to worry about." But the point I'm making is that everybody has certain skills. And yes, some people will have a higher IQ than others. Absolutely. People will go to top universities. But even, by the way, going to a top university doesn't necessarily denote intelligence across the board, because you could find, I've seen some fairly ignorant people who are university educated. I've seen university educated people um, defend the indefensible, defend personality cults and defend some really boneheaded mentalities. So again, going to university has its merits, but I don't think. Sometimes I do think there is a slight snobbery from the academic class, if that's even an appropriate way to put it. So the point I would make is everybody has to have the humility to accept that we are all learning all the time. We learn something every day, and I fully admit there are subject areas I don't know that much about. Um, And I have had times in my life when I've reflected on someone else's opinion and maybe looked further into a subject, and I have evolved in my thinking in certain areas. I know, for example, when I was 17, I thought I knew more about certain subjects than I actually did. And that's okay. Young people, especially, are naturally, at least a lot of young people, are naturally keen to learn. So and they want to be part of something. They want to be part of a movement or whatever. So anyway, I'll round this up. Let me know your thoughts. But I really do think that one more point, by the way. I sometimes hear people saying, "Oh, something is easy." That to me is incredibly condescending, and you get this particularly with technical problems. It really works me up when, for example, I'm having computer problems, and someone says, "Oh, you should do this. It's easy." I'm thinking, yeah, to you it is because you know the ins and outs of it does irritate me when people say something's easy. Um, I'm tempted to say, okay, let me put you on the spot and ask you about this subject, which you probably know nothing about. So people should be very careful not to be condescending because none of us know everything. So if someone's asking for help, don't take it that as an way to talk down to them. I think that's if someone asks me for help, I'm grateful that they have seen me as an authority on the subject, and if I can help, I will. But I'll be careful not to talk down to them because I think it may be that I need information from them about something. So we should all show just a little bit of humility. Thanks for watching.